Hello all. Today we'll talk about how to escalate effectively. So when you are working as a business analyst or a scrum master, there will be times where something is not going as per your plan, or some developer or tester is not following best practice. So that's when you escalate. So I'll give you one example. You some work is assigned to a specific set of developers. The development team is giving you an estimate which is 3 or 4 times the time duration of an actual proper estimate. Say, for example, a 1 month work, instead of giving an estimate of 1 month, they are saying, in order for us to code all these elements, it's going to take 3 months. So now you told them that okay, this will just take a month. So I'll be okay if it's going to be if it will take up to 1.5 months. But then if you say 3 months, it doesn't sound right because it's too long. We can't do this. We can't be coding this for 3 months. Now this is a very good example of a scenario where you should escalate. So how will you do it? Now the very first advice that I can give is escalate only if that escalation is going to make the situation better. If the escalation is not going to make the situation better, do not escalate. Now, in the case where you feel, okay, if I escalate, the situation is going to be better, then you have to go talk to the reporting manager or the escalation manager or the project manager or the tech lead and say and explain clearly what is happening. So when you give the explanation, it has to be crystal clear and slow. The reason being, they don't know what's happening. So there could be a communication gap, and things could get misunderstood and miscommunicated. We don't want that. So you have to explain it slowly and in a very clear manner. Don't point fingers. Don't say he or she did that. Don't point fingers. But then you could start your statements with I feel this is what is happening. I feel it could be done in less time. I personally feel, or it's my view, or it's my suggestion. As opposed to what he or she is doing is wrong. Do not point fingers. At any cost, never point fingers. This is very, very important. Now this is this is one situation where you escalate, right? So there is a task. They are giving 3 times the estimate. The time estimate is not correct. It's so long. It shouldn't take that long to complete that task. So you are escalating it. This is one kind of escalation. So there might be cases where the development team is not communicating what they want to you in an effective manner, or sometimes someone might be intentionally pushing you around. The team might be intentionally pushing you around. These things do happen, though it's not the right practice. But there might be there's a remote possibility where the team is pushing you around. They are asking questions with an intent that you don't understand. So they are twisting and turning things and asking certain things in a very complicated manner just so you don't understand, just so you get nervous, just so you get irritated. So when this happens, what you do is, I wouldn't say escalate, but what I would do is, I'll go to my reporting manager and say, this is what I'm dealing with. I'm being pushed around. And when they ask me some questions, they're asking it in a very complicated manner to a point where I'm not able to understand it. And it's intentional. So I'm being pushed around. The agile attribute of respect, mutual respect, is not being followed in the team. So when you convey this, the wordings that you use is very important, right? So you have to say, you could, especially when it's going to be a situation like this where people are getting pushed around, you can always say that this is how I would, this is just my suggestion, so don't take it as the gospel. So I'll just give a disclaimer right there. So what I'll do is I'll start the conversation by saying that I don't mean to escalate. So you are not escalating it. I'm just letting you know that I am facing so and so, being pushed around, or questions are being asked in such a way that I don't understand it with an intent, with that kind of a negative intent. It's what I feel. Just say that's what I personally feel. And I'm not escalating it, but I just want you to know that this is what I'm going through. That's it, right? So this way you're being transparent to your reporting manager or to the tech lead, and you're saying, I'm not escalating this, but I'm just letting you know that this is what I'm going through. Now you're doing two things. One, you're not pointing fingers, and number two, they will try to notice whether this is happening or not. Right? And if they do see these things happening, they'll take measures. And you have also not pointed fingers, right? So this is a very good way of escalating. When these things do happen, I've worked in the liaison for a while, and I've seen some weird things happen. And I haven't worked in a place where it is quote unquote normal, right? That's how organizations work. We all have timelines, we all have deadlines, we are all busy, we all have personal lives. So these things are common. So when you escalate it, you have to escalate it like this in a very polite manner. And again, I just want to emphasize, so whatever I say, it's just my suggestion. It's not the gospel. I'm just putting that disclaimer. So when if you ever get into that situation, do remember what I said, but just take it as a suggestion and do what you feel is right. And another suggestion is, generally, this is my philosophy. I'll try out new things all the time. So even when it comes to escalation, I'll have multiple ways of escalating it. And even when I'm trying to deal with the team, as a BA or as a product owner or as a Scrum Master, I'll kind of experiment, right? The reason is, there's two scenarios here. One scenario, you escalate, you experiment by doing different things. You take different routes to escalate, and maybe you write something in the retrospective session saying something to the effect of, "This is what I feel." You're being open, at least in the retrospective session. Now, if I do something wrong when I experiment, I learn something. But then if I don't experiment, and if I'm reluctant and cautious and tight-lipped, then I don't learn anything. But then if I experiment, even if I do something wrong, I get to learn. So the very next time when I do something, I have some more experience as to what to do. I'm a little bit more wise. This is something that has worked out well for me, at least. But then again, it's just a suggestion. So I would always take the route where I like to experiment and try to resolve a problem the way I want to resolve it. And when it doesn't work, I have a lesson. When it works, I feel good about it. But then you might be in a situation where you don't want to do that, right? But it's up to you. But then when you work in the liaison, there will be cases where you have to escalate. You would be escalating the business. So again, another scenario, right, that just came to my mind, that just dawned on me. The business is giving change requests. They're giving a lot of change requests. Sometimes they call a missed requirement a defect. That's when you have to report that to the your reporting manager or the project manager or the portfolio manager or whoever it is. Whoever is the go-to person. Again, you have to follow whatever I said, right? You could say something like, okay, I'm not escalating this, but I want you to know that the team is going through this. We are coding it right, and they are calling all the missed requirements as defects. And I don't think we have to call it a defect, because by definition, a defect is when a requirement is given and we did not code it right. So that's a defect. Missed requirement is when we did not get the requirement. So all the missed requirements are categorized as defect, and that it looks bad on the team, right? So you have to say this politely. You should not point fingers. You should not say Anna is not doing the right thing, or Rajesh is not doing the right thing. You should not do that. Never point. Always be polite and professional. Even when you say something negative about someone else, you are pushed to that state and you have to do this. A very rare situation comes up where you have to do that. You are a cornered rat. You have to do that. Even in that case, always be polite, kind, courteous, and professional. It's very, very important. So, in a nutshell, just to summarize what we just discussed, when you walk into a project, there will be cases where you have to escalate. When you escalate, you have to be polite, you have to be kind, you have to be courteous. You should not point fingers, and you should use statements like, this is what this is my view, or this is what I feel, as opposed to this is how it is. Don't use objective statements, use subjective statements. And being polite is the key. So this is what we discussed in a nutshell. I think that's about it. So hope you are able to gather something of essence from this very short discussion that we had. Do subscribe to my channel, like my page, subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. I will respond when I see it. I will respond for sure. And thanks for your time. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.